Today's session, we're going to take a look at the enterprise platform and how to set up an SMS campaign or an SMS broadcast. So once you've logged into the account, you'll come to the dashboard of the Analyze page, and in the top left corner, you would just click on the Communicate speech bubble in the top left. Okay, so to set up an SMS campaign, you would click on Create Broadcast in the top right. It defaults to SMS, but if you have other channels set up on the account, you can change that to whichever you prefer. Okay, so if you've already imported the data, you'll be able to add it very simply by clicking Add from People, and you can choose either a tag name that you've imported, or if you've got a predefined segment, you can choose that from there. But if you wanted to actually import the data during the point of sending the campaign, you could just click Import Data at the top right. Okay, so what I'll do for today is I'll choose the test list that I've already imported, and then I might want to add my number in as a seed list, as a seeded number to the campaign. Whenever you're adding or importing data, make sure it's got the correct country prefix, 447 for UK, or if it's an international country, you would have no prefix. And then during the import, you would select the country prefix that you want to add. Okay, so once you've added in your contacts of who you want the campaign to go to, you would then choose a sender name or a sender ID. So the sender ID, which is set as default, would have been set up when the account was created. In this case, I've set up Text Global. You do have the option to free type whatever you want the campaign. It could be your company. Or we do have a virtual number facility where you can obtain replies to messages, or you can send from a number. So if you had a virtual number set up on your account, it would appear within this drop down. So I'll choose Text Global. Something to bear in mind is that the sender ID or the sender name is character limited to 11 characters. So if you've got quite a lengthy name, business name, brand name, you may need to abbreviate that. The reason why it's 11 characters as a fixed limit is that's the standardized UK mobile number format. So it's more of a restriction on the mobile device than on our platform. So 11 characters is the one you need to keep in mind there. You would give it a broadcast name in the bottom left. I'm just going to call it test campaign. But this is just for you only. This is something referenceable, so you know what this campaign is associated to. And then you would just simply fill out the SMS message box. So we do have the option to personalize a message using the top right corner. You can insert placeholders. So in this case, it could be the first name of the customer. If you include any placeholders or any custom attributes, just be mindful that it can affect the amount of characters that are within the message. So for the purpose of today's demo, I'll just keep it as a plain text without any personalization, and then it will tell you exactly how many characters within the text message you've used. So it could be something like, flash sale, 15% off today only, and then it could be, your call to action, shop now, and then your website domain. I'll just put in textglobal.co.uk, and then maybe use code SMS15 at checkout. Okay, so once you've written your message, like I said, it'll tell you how many characters you've used in the top right corner. Just be mindful that the UK standard is 160 characters for an SMS text message. If you go over 160 characters, it will use 2 credits per message or 3 credits per message, depending on how many characters you've used. But the good thing is that the person who's receiving the message will only get that one message. It won't be sent in multiple parts. It'll just be one SMS text, but it'll deduct the relevant amount of credits that you've used for that campaign. So it's important to use a unsubscribe method with every marketing-based campaign. So we've got a couple of options. The first one is a shared keyword on a shortcode. So it could have something like opt-out text TG stop could be the keyword. to our short code 88440. So if anyone were to text this keyword to our short code, it would automatically unsubscribe them and add them to the do not contact list. We do have another option, which is the URL opt-out method, and that uses 23 characters from your SMS character limit. If you wanted to set up the URL method, just contact a member of the Text Global team or your dedicated account manager. They can help you get that set up and talk you through that in more detail. So for the purpose of today's tutorial, we'll just leave in the standard shortcode method, and then we'll talk through some of these advanced options. A question that we do quite commonly get asked is do we support emojis? And the answer is yes. The only difference is that emojis use a character set called Unicode, and this is 70 characters per message. So if you've got quite a lengthy message, you'd be looking realistically at 2 or 3 credits per SMS text. So yeah, if you did use an emoji, the character set would just change to Unicode, and then it would be 70 characters per SMS message. Okay, so if the aim of the campaign is to get click-throughs to your e-commerce store or your website, what we usually advise our clients is to use a branded URL link. And the reason for that is it builds trust with the person who's receiving it. If it's branded, they know where that link is going to take them, and ultimately you'll see a higher click-through rate and conversion rate as the end goal. We do have an option to track the URL, but how this works is if you enable the track URL clicks, it'll take the branded link to what we call an unbranded short link, and it would basically be unbranded. So the person who receives that text, they would have a little bit of reservation about where that link is going to take them and how much they can trust it. So if your goal is to get sales and conversions, probably go with the branded link. But if you need to track through who has clicked that link and how many times that link has been clicked, then we do have an option on there. Okay, so for the purpose of the demo, I'll leave them unticked and go through to the advanced options. So the first one is validity period. So if you've got a time-sensitive offer, it's a flash sale, it ends in 5 or 6 hours, you could literally put 5 or 6 hours in there. And then if someone hasn't received the text message within that time frame, whether their phone be switched off or they're not able to obtain a signal, they just won't get that message. They won't receive a message which is no longer relevant. So we'll leave that blank again. Another good option here is the message sending speed. So we've got quite a few clients who send literally tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of text messages at one go. If they were to do that in one go, it would probably crash their server and the site would go down, or the pages would be very slow and unresponsive. So what our clients tend to do is say, right, we've got 10,000 text messages going out. Let's do 500 messages per minute, and then after say 20 minutes it'll complete that campaign. So it'll push out the campaign in batches at whatever you would prefer. That could be 100, it could be 1,000. It really is your preference on how quickly you want that traffic to go out and how long you want to take it to complete. Okay, so there are a few other options under advanced. So flash SMS is pretty much like a push notification. So when they receive the message, it pops up on the device, but once they've read it, it completely disappears. So this is quite good for like notifications, but for marketing and to generate sales, it's always best sending an SMS text campaign opposed to a flash SMS. Enable delivery reports over API is basically like an integrated report using our API. Not many people need this. Most people just download reports via the dashboard and the report section. Data payload is very simply a tracking mechanism. So we've got a few clients who will have multiple stores or locations in the UK. If they import the data and have a location, it could be London, Manchester, Nottingham, and then basically they would use the data payload to track how many messages have been sent by location or whatever tracking mechanism they want on that. So the bottom three probably aren't used that widely, but definitely the validity period and the message sending speed are quite useful. Okay, so moving on to the scheduling options. If you wanted to send the campaign in real time, you would leave this blank and the campaign would go out instantly. If you wanted to schedule it for a later date, you would click on schedule date under communication start. We'll do, this particular date, and we'll put it, for say maybe 7:30 in the evening, something like that. Okay, so delivery time window and how that works, it basically prevents nuisance texts. So I don't know how many people have had text messages at an unsociable hour at say 3 o'clock in the morning. It's very annoying. Most times it's not the company or the brand's fault. It's usually an issue with the network, and then the recipient of that message regains a network signal at an unsociable hour, and then all their messages come through at that time. If you set a validity time window or a delivery time window to say, I don't know, 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. in the evening, what will happen is your campaign will go out in its entirety at the 7:30 p.m. that you've set. But if somebody has their phone switched off or they can't obtain a signal, and then say they switch their phone on after 9 a.m., after 9 p.m., then the messages will come through the next day at 9 a.m. in the morning. So basically the messages will only ever be sent between these two periods of time. Okay, so once you've set the message, you've set the audience and all the other settings, you would click on continue to preview in the bottom right. It'll give you an example of what the message looks like. It'll tell you when the message is going to be sent, and it'll give you a summary over on the right-hand side of the contacts there. If you wanted to send a test to yourself to make sure you're happy with the message and make sure it reads right and the layout and the link works, you click on send test in the bottom right corner. And remember, you always enter your mobile number with the country prefix whenever sending messages. So in this case, it could be 447 and then whatever the number is thereafter. Okay, if you hit send, that message will come through within seconds, and then you can check the link works, make sure it reads correctly, and then you can launch the campaign. Okay, so once you've launched it, it'll take you back to the communicate page, and it'll tell you that the campaign is scheduled and when it's scheduled for. There is an option here, if there is anything wrong with the campaign, you can simply stop it. Or if you wanted to change some of the details of the campaign, you can open it up, and on the right-hand side, you can change the scheduled date and time, or any message sending speed on there. If, for example, you wanted to change the message content, the best thing you'd be able to do is stop that campaign or cancel it, and then you can duplicate it, and then change the message that you want, and then reschedule a new date and time and launch that new campaign. So that's pretty much it. It's very straightforward. With anything, getting grips to a new system like this, it just takes time. Once you've sent a couple of campaigns, it'll become second nature. But if you do have any questions, or if you want to maybe explore this a little bit further, just contact us directly, drop us an email or give us a call, or reach out to your account manager. All right, well, thank you for looking, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.